Brian.
And by the way, we're being recorded but not broadcast. Okay.
Put my note back.
So we turned in that wall, we haven't done anything, but I opened the appointments and I want to listen to it.
Oh my gosh.
We are all going to be here. Yay! Your packet? Okay. Okay, now we have more people with questions.
This is the last meeting.
Okay.
There's another packet down there, right?
Yeah, one more for Brian.
For Brian. Perfect. Okay.
Have we already called the word?
She recorded, but
We're dawdling to the first candidate, she said.
there is.
We're hearing ourselves.
But I'm telling you what to do.
Oh, that's fine.
Saying, echo, 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 echo.
I don't think I can do anything about it. I mean, is it where we have it placed about it?
No,
Push it back a little bit more.
probably how it's set in the control room.
Turn it off.
I'm turning down the volume, but then you won't be
Screw
recorded.
up the tape, don't you gotta leave it on.
Leave it on, don't worry about it.
It's double-sided.
I turn down the volume.
That help? Order. There you go. The apps, and you're in the order in which.
Oh, that would be great.
Yes.
Stuff everywhere.
Yes.
Ryan,
And there's 6 questions.
there's paperwork at a desk over there by, you don't have to sign up, there's some over by someone.
Right there.
And I'll enter the PDF public.
Since we're now full 8. Since we're full 8, why don't we go that way on the first one and then start on that way on the second one? Yeah, so you have a
She wants to get a question every
No,
time.
otherwise, Krista and Brian don't get any questions.
You have to ask too.
Doesn't ask any questions.
Let us know if he does.
Doug, no,
If you mean off, you're listening.
no going off script.
I can't read. Well, glasses.
It's a tough job for the illiterate.
Oh,
So where is Claire go?
well, she's not supposed to be here for 4
She has 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The other thing we've normally done is we've each introduced ourselves with his name as a polite to them.
This will be my last meeting as chairman too, correct?
Yes, we're planning to go chairman.
I'm good.
Actually, you have to conduct the election in January,
That's true.
and then as soon as you get it, the
I
people
have
elected.
a 5-month obligation in January. I
Yes,
can't go
you
there.
do.
You still have to come, even if you
You
have
have to be here to do it.
I've been really consistent lately.
You have, I'm proud of you.
Oh, more consistent. Really may not be an appropriate ad. No, you've been consistent.
Telephone reminders.
Only perhaps by you.
Yeah, true. Who comes from Portland, not 2 blocks.
No, I better excuse than I do. But still.
We Mo, Karen, Harry, and I are at a meeting here at 2:30 ahead of time, so it does help us, no credit for being mobile or anything.
Oh, don't worry.
But I have time to run out and get some more books on CD. Or what? Books on CD. I'm almost done with the one I'm listening to in the car. I don't have time to read. I listen to
I've been listening to a great book on George Washington, the Ron Chernow biography of George Washington. Brand new. there've been like 700 books.
You know, whatever,
About
everybody
the
knows.
George Washington. 700 books.
He was truly an incredible fellow, this guy Washington. When he was 1 year old, he had an amazing, amazingly
What age now? He surveyed first.
Well, he said
It was initial training.
he was surveying when like he was 16. And he became chief surveyor when he was like in 20. And then he went in the military. He had like an engagement. And then she had like 5 bullets passed through his coat and 2 through his head. And every officer got killed except him. And his name became famous around the world because of this thing. He was 22 years old, and he's a world famous hero. He's another Washington. Everything about his life, he was blessed. He was so lucky people could die were in his way. He got to inherit things. His misfortune grew and grew. And these things just happened. I mean, he was just blessed. And his books, this Indian chief reported decades later, he's like, yeah, I was at that battle and I told my men, shoot that guy. And they shoot him right in
Big hats and big
the head. He was the biggest guy on the field.
Well, yeah.
He was the strongest guy on the
They
field.
would send like,
Anybody
didn't know what was going on. Well, move out here, move that thing off.
Something like that. In the 1840s, the family were all bookkeepers in Maine. And so he takes the family boat, loads up everything to go to store, and sails around South America.
That's what you do. Because if I go right now, I'll
Right
show
into
you.
the ship. Goes up to the
Right back into me. Like,
Gonna go to store and the other thing had a store and look back up the sound, spots a beautiful spot and found silver. But it's like every content place.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was never a big artist before. My kid, 26, 25.
How many young men were out on their own by the time they were 12, 13, 14 years old?
Well, yeah,
They were earning a living.
apprentice student.
Anybody call it calling?
I don't know if we brought the numbers. Oh, we didn't. But I think you don't know.
They're the only out of
Or
city.
you might get moved later.
Normally.
Yeah, it's hard, farther to come to. It's a little problem though, so the Crowley County doesn't. Yeah, this is the one I have.
She's a member and
She's a master in letters. Let me call her if you don't mind.
we need an actual accountant or bookkeeper to start doing it once we start getting it done.
I know that recording.
Oh, is that right? How long has it been going on?
She's late and she shows up later, she'll have to wait till the end. Yeah, right up soon.
Oh, here's a person who looks like she's looking for us.
That Claire? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, are you Claire? Great, come on in. Oh, you can sit right up here. Well, we've got to die, so why not use it?
Under stations.
Alright.
So I guess we'll call to order. Hi, I'm Phil Yates. I'm the chairman of this body, the Library Board of Oregon City, and we'll just go down and start introducing ourselves to you.
Karen Mori.
Harriet Shule.
We know.
Sorry.
That's her.
Good one. Alright, call the library.
I will.
And I'm Harriet Shule, the vice chair.
Linda Van Hammerby.
Brian Jones.
And so we're going to interview you for about 15 minutes, and we're going to start down here with Dave and just kind of ask you some questions.
Why do you want to be on the board? What special skills and strengths do you feel you bring to us?
Well, I've been committed to libraries for a long time, as a librarian, and I just retired. I feel like my commitment now is to this community library, and so just wanted to sort of morph into a different career. I guess my strong commitment to libraries is probably my most strongest skill. I have some practical background, but I'm not so sure that that's exactly what the library board would have to be done. Yeah, I have a lot of enthusiasm about libraries, honest and straightforward.
What issues currently facing our library would you say are the most important to you?
Well, I think getting a library building.
Any other things?
Well, intellectual freedom is an important issue, but I feel that the library is those standards. Reaching all members of the community, different ethnic groups, as well as socioeconomic groups.
Okay, well, this goes well with your previous answer. As you are aware, we are looking for a new home for the Oregon City Public Library. Please explain any experience and interest in working to pass a bond in support of this type of project. And what is your experience with fundraising?
Yeah, I have to say I don't have any experience. I've been through the process of helping the library as a staff member and the concerns and the issues, but I've never gone out and done fundraising.
Do you feel comfortable in representing the library board at like public meetings, things like that, to promote something like them?
Well, if I feel comfortable speaking in public, if I'm really firm and know what I'm talking about, I wouldn't say I'm a natural public speaker. I've done lots of presentations, I've done some.
And can you describe for us what kind of volunteer activity you've had in the past?
Right now I'm volunteering at my former job still, so I've been doing that.
What do you do there?
As
a volunteer, what do you do? Same thing you did before?
Well, actually, yes. I'm trying to finish a major project. I was real instrumental in developing the local history collection. I have a huge online photo collection, and I'm working on revising the cataloging for that. And just something that no one else is really able to follow up with, and so I have been doing that. But I did do tutoring through Clackamas Community College for ESL students. I volunteered in schools, in the business school. I volunteered with the senior, Clackamas had a senior council, and I did shopping for elderly people, maybe 10 years old. I don't know if you call it volunteer work. I'm pretty active in the hamlet of Beaver Creek and some of the activities there.
You go to the meetings regularly?
Yeah, I had a position there.
Okay.
What do you think the library could be doing to build support in the community, and how could you assist the library director and the board in this effort?
Well, I think one of the challenges right now is for people who aren't really involved with the library to let them know why the problem hasn't been solved. A lot of people that I hear, we voted for it, we passed that, they got the money, why aren't they? And so the complexity of that issue, I think maybe something I could see myself doing would be reaching out to the CPOs and hamlets that are outside the city, possibly. Those people might be a little more marginally supportive of the library just because they aren't as close to it. If we have forums or things like that, I could
The library board normally meets monthly on the second Wednesday from 4:30 to around 6:30. What other commitments do you have, and are you available to attend on a regular basis?
I don't have any commitments. Is that all you were wanting? I go to a cruise in Estacada Wednesday morning.
No, I just think, just, what our expectations are. That's when we usually meet.
Would you like to add anything else? I mean, we're pretty much, we have a whole script for you. Notice. They ask a question.
Hello. Do you have any questions for us? Like, do you have any questions maybe outside of the description or something?
Well, I guess I don't. I read the description online, what it was, and, I know that it's an advisory board, but I would think with the situation of looking for a new library and possibly funding, maybe not, that there would be more outreach to the community, and that's what I would expect.
Do you have any budgetary experience?
Don't have any debt on my credit card.
Maybe we should tell her that this is being taped. but not broadcast. Just for the record.
Yeah, I wish I had real estate experience, or accounting experience.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think mainly my commitment to libraries is my main skill that I could bring here, or strength that I can bring to you, and relatively confident to do whatever seems to be needed for a particular time.
Doug, you got any questions?
No, it's not a question, I guess it's more of a comment than anything else, and you may know this already. The board is constituted, so we do have representatives from outside the city. You may know that already. There are representatives in the city.
I could look online and with the materials that were background materials for the commissioners. Talking about now, there are going on that I haven't heard and don't know.
Identify all kinds of sites for the cost of site.
Mo, do you have any questions? Okay, Claire, thank you very much.
Merry Christmas,
You know how this experience, so there's somebody else goes out and take construction engineer, but he he was working with the library board when we were doing a site evaluation at one point. I don't know if any of you were here at that particular time of year.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Overlap.
Yeah, and he might be a person you wanted to get involved. And he got very frustrated with the process because it wasn't going anywhere. But I think
it took him a couple of years before he started to join the Friends of the Library again. I would like to comment that Claire is the only one, no, there are two candidates who have been consistent members of the Friends of the Oregon City Library. And so they do have some knowledge and awareness of some of the overlap groups.
I was going to say, if I had a choice here, I would say at least it's nice to finally get somebody that's wired in with the Hamlet, because we've tried to make a connection with the Hamlet and have never been successful. So. Yeah.
As she said, practical information.
Somebody was working on the history collection.
That Gary could be really great connection.
It's mad, it's like I belong to a book club, and all the members of that book club, except me,
Oh, really?
Okay.
So I think there's no question.
Yes.
We just want to have a library in Tawakan on all the alphabet soup stuff. And,
We'll watch ourselves.
okay.
We need someone specializing in library.
Well, there won't be enough time to do that.
She was curious about, relative support. One thing might be, it would be nice to look at that district, right, the district, and you have it, there's a breakdown and support of people in the city, and support the people from the rest of the district.
Dave, those guys looked at that before, I don't know, I don't know.
I'm not sure we looked at the precincts outside the city. We looked at the city precincts. I don't think we looked.
Operators used to operate on a levy system, and you know that the support on some it wasn't strong. There's more recent elections, you might be able to know that.
Well, even inside the city, it was weak the farther you went out that way because the two precincts that you get out that way failed the last levy. So it's like the core is very supportive, but it got thinner as you went out.
The newest precinct didn't support the last levy.
She's only out of city.
Wait, yes or no? This was a yes or no.
And then my next three are all in the city.
Then we have to make a decision. We have to make a decision.
If you guys do the law, the people who are way better because
Does anyone know her?
she was at the meeting the other day. She was at the mansion.
I'm horrible at putting names and faces together, so.
Yeah. Because mine.
She came up and introduced herself to you, didn't she?
No, that's somebody else. Oh, no. You know what? That was somebody named Lynn, I thought.
Oh, Lynn Better?
Yeah.
In Bedford.
Yeah. Yeah. But my Linda knows Linda Campbell, who she is anyway. She says, oh, I saw her at the luncheon. And I was like, oh, so then when I wrote this thing and remind her and send it out, I go, were you at the luncheon the other day? So I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself to you, you know. And she's like, oh, I was there and I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I had to rush off that day or something. So, yeah. Somebody who's like,
yeah.
Out of the 36 people.
Yeah, but we knew most of them. Yeah, midday and stuff. You know,
Pretty well, and
because it was Allison was there. They did too. Oh, she got by us.
So make sure that door is unlocked in the middle of this interview, so just disregard me, okay?
Hello. This is the Oregon City Library Board. The way this works is the mayor, actually, Mr. Mayor-elect sitting over here, is the person who selects the people who sit on the library board, but he does that on the basis of recommendations from our board. And so we're going to interview you here today based on some questions that we've got written down. There's one of the speeches that we're going to ask, but we can sort of modify it as we go. So I'd like to introduce myself first and just kind of go around the table, let you know who everybody is. My name is Philip Yates, and this is
Karen Moy.
Harriet Schul.
Linda Van Haverby.
Kristen Krieger.
Brian Johnson.
And we don't expect you to remember this.
and we could describe ourselves for you.
Only if you have me.
Why don't we start with you, Brian?
Hi, Linda. Why would you like to be on this board, and what special skills or strengths would you bring to the board?
I'm interested in the library. I've been a library user since I was a child, and I would like to see the kind of library in Oregon City that I think the community needs and would love. And I've been on a couple of boards. I've been on the SPCA board in Mariposa County. It was a fairly contentious time, and I think that I helped to bring people together for solutions. I also worked as a union representative at the Lake Oswego Library, and we worked during budget times in order to get a contract and compromised. I've also done some grant writing, primarily as the literacy coordinator for the county of Mariposa. It was a while ago, and I think I could at least help in that respect.
What issues currently facing our library are the most important to you?
I think the most important is the fact that although we have a lovely spot for books, we don't have enough books. I mean, because there's not room there. And I think finding a location for a permanent facility is probably the most important issue, and getting the community behind that.
Well, that leads into the next question. As you're aware, we're looking for a new permanent home for the Oregon City Public Library. Please explain your experience and interest in working to pass a bond in support of this project, and have you had and what is your experience with fundraising?
I've had minimal experience of fundraising. When the literacy positions are grant positions, so there's always a little bit of fundraising trying to get things in addition to the grant you work on. I've not worked with a bond except during both of the levies for Oregon City, the Special Library District and the fire and police. I did put out flyers and had signs in my home and had a tea, neighborhood tea, and invited people to explain about it. But I haven't had any actual.
Thank you.
Have you had experience at public meetings, including speaking before commissions, community groups, any of that?
Yes, I've done training programs for volunteers, and I've done that with the local group and also in the Sierra Foothills. We did training for several of the programs, and with the SPCA, that was a board, not as formal as this, but we had to go. I went out and did some public speaking on behalf of the board and also on behalf of the literacy program. I went to Kiwanis and schools and
You feel comfortable doing that? Something you enjoy doing on behalf of the library, maybe? So, in that same regard, what do you think we should be doing as a library board to build support in the community?
Well, I think we have to talk up, our library, and now that the community does know that ethos is not on the table anymore, there'll be a lot of questions, and I think having public forums, which the board is, and also signage, putting up placards and flyers in the library, maybe doing some sort of a little pamphlet, letting people know what the situation is, how they can help. I think a lot of people probably want to help if there was something that they could do. But getting the word out is our library is a great little library, and the usage is still high even for a few years. So speaking to the various organizations.
Okay. Karen?
Okay, the last question I always hope you've considered in advance, but the library board normally meets on the second Wednesday from 4:30 to 6:30. Do you have any other commitments that would conflict with being available for those meetings?
I tutor at 7:30, but that can always be an hour between us.
Well, those are our 6 questions. Would you like to?
Alright, do you have any questions for us?
How much of the budget work does the board do? Does the board advise? Does the board actually make policy?
We bless.
Well, the board is supposed to review a proposed budget, and apparently I may have skipped last year by accident. It was an oversight on my part. You can bring that up.
She was me.
But I would put something together, and then we would review it at the meetings. And policy is we just approved a behavior policy, and so that was something that we tried to very closely look at. Obviously, I have looked at it, and the attorney has looked at it. And so that is the kind of stuff that we do. They have there actually are a lot of policies that we need to review. So that's something we bring under.
Are there committees within the board that work outside various projects?
The thing we've been doing the most outside of this group has been, there's the Friends of the Library, of course. But in addition to that, we've been creating a foundation to help raise the money for this shining city on the hill of Ohio Permanent Library. Hey, do you have a question?
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
I think one of the activities the board involved is, looking at sites that people have built.
We all are.
You were asking about looking at budgets. Do you have budgetary experience putting budgets together?
Small budgets. For my program, I always had to do my own budgeting, but it was given a finite amount, and then how can you divide it all up and make it last a year? So.
Anything else you'd like to say? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Lynn Avenue, where there's that weird triangle. Go up there, and just mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, I can tell you what it is, but I get up there and I get lost because there are no right lights up there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They all look like they're excellent.
This is the president of the Repertory Theater.
Yes. Don.
Oh, he's a member of the Friends too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he's been an actor
He
volunteer
has volunteers.
with the Friends.
That's off Parkview Hill.
Not in East Cemetery.
No. When we were on the I will teach you about Jason Lee. He was a Methodist missionary.
That's right.
Have you been on a cemetery board before?
No, but I'm in a recreation theater. In the city of San Jose, which is a lot. I get involved in some cemetery fights because there's supposed to be a Chinese section and a Japanese section, and they shouldn't merge.
Late 30s, early 40s.
Really interesting cemetery factory in England.
Well, and up there off Parkview Hills, they have a bunch of.
Just built
Mm-hmm.
100 AD. It's like the cemetery.
Well, it's probably better than his cousin Philander. Philander. Yes.
For 100 years.
Actually, it's difficult.
They just get there and people in the cemetery. And over time, the ground grows around the church. So when you go out to the countryside, and you see country churches really old. Or underground,
They were very cemetery. And we would have to remarry and put around it. This is my favorite cemetery. And after the and they could
Is this person to a Hitler commune or to a foreign country?
Why would they put that on
They need to show me.
Oh, no.
It was a landing field back then. Running all these and they all had different patrol organizations, and they all had their own section in the cemetery. And it would be good sessions.
No, so it doesn't mean anything.
The body and whatever. And they all had distinct it's interesting. I love that. I don't know what happened to somebody that wasn't committed to one of the fraternal organizations. I guess they threw him out.
Where?
There's one person by the name of Alibaba. His name you provoke me. Well, that was peculiar. I mean, I was asking about, he said that the reason that anything about was his mother had about 5 girls before he came along. So when he was born, he told her in-laws that he provoked me and I had a son. And so that's what I did. There's another one, beautiful. Anyway, a woman that worked in the house. And the despised
Ooh,
On eBay, it sounds so beautiful.
it does.
Yeah.
So does
Right,
it,
she didn't explain to me why the name.
Well, I know they named the one, that's where I was going.
if it's a girl?
Relatives' names. So was it like a household name or a relative name?
There's something, there was, there's like. I did students there. Still remember the name, mistake.
Well, and why haven't you renamed me that first name? Why haven't you renamed me after that first person? No, you provoked me. I'm surprised he hasn't redubbed me.
What year were you in Malaysia?
Oh, that's when, they have families in the first instruction. We went over there in another country.
Yeah, having a good idea of how to marry here in Malaysia, so Malaysia, did you go to the first stuff? Was that early in? Was that work in Malaysia? Was that early? Did you one of the first groups?
Oh, no.
In Malaysia?
And the reason they have family programs, they wasn't married for children, they kind of evaluated kind of what people build.
Yeah.
But they don't have any kind of.
Obviously, we want to see because they're all like good answers.
Yes. And they're also sick.
These are always interesting. I had my very first interview when I started working for Social Security. Also, before you interview, always make sure you ask to see where's the Social Security card. Because people don't remember their numbers right. They can make mistakes on it. My very first interview was with a gentleman named Ira Pickle, who was a merchant seaman, it turned out. And I asked him, I said, can I have your Social Security number? He rattled it off. So I need to see your card. And he says, son, I lost that years ago, but I keep it with me always. I did. Keep it with always.
Oh, no.
The number, highlighted numbers, he had the thing tattooed across his chest.
I was thinking worse than
Oh, yeah, no.
He followed the bird.
They forced me to call him back in when it turned out the number was wrong. And that's when I found that he'd gotten the tattoo on his chest with a bunch of his friends. They'd all been on a good bender. He was the only one who didn't have the card with him. And so he remembered his number. And,
Here's Ron.
That's funny.
well, we'll find out if this is the right person.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello.
You can sit right there.
In the hot seat.
Hopefully you're the right person, darn right.
That's me.
We identify him as such.
We know this one.
Well, welcome to the library board interview process. Just to give you a brief overview of how this works, in case you don't know, we're going to make a recommendation based on this interview of you and 3 other candidates to the mayor-elect over here, who's going to in January be the mayor, and he's going to make the final decisions. This is Mo, the library director, if you don't know her. So we've got a little list of 6 questions, which we use sort of as a format. We're going to get started. Why don't you start this time? We'll go.
Why don't we introduce ourselves?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that. Why don't you introduce yourself and then you can start.
Hi, Don. I'm Karen Maury.
And Ryan.
Laura? Okay.
Sluka?
Dave? Brian Johnson? Brian. Chris?
Linda Van Haverbeek.
Harriet Shule, nice to meet you.
Yates, and why don't you ask the first question?
All right. Don, why do you want to be on this board, and what special skills or strengths will you bring to the board?
The first question is that when I saw that the Eastern School project had fallen through, I thought, my, what a great opportunity for someone to help build the next library for Oregon City. And I did not have hands-on experience doing it for my other
hometown of Council Bluffs, Iowa, but it has a fantastic library now. And I was kind of involved with the early stages of saying that we needed to get out of the Carnegie, which was a two-story. It was a two-story library there, Carnegie. And I was down in the basement inputting hard catalog stuff back in the 70s. Pretty old. But I was involved in building libraries back in the 70s as much as I could. And I've had some of my best times with librarians. I married one. And my good friends in Omaha are librarians. My auntie in Denver was the state library for Denver and environs. And so, libraries and us and I kind of work together. What do I bring to this? Well, I've been a journalist, I've been a college professor, and I've been an economic developer, and in all of those stages of my life, I've seen what good education does to people, good information does for people. I've been an encourager of good information, however they find it. And now it's all kind of electronic, but that's okay. We can supply that too. So I thought it was a very exciting time to put my name forward for the library for it.
What issues currently facing our library are the most important to you and obvious?
Well, downplaying the beautiful Carnegie building. I think that's the number one issue right now, because I love the Carnegie. Everybody loves the Carnegie, and it's I've worked for a while as a barista and the art, putting up the art rooms, the art center, and we didn't have any room in for the stuff that we tried to do, and we're there kind of as a little catch-all place, and I'm afraid that if we sell it too much, we'll never get out of there. I've seen the West Coast, I've seen the East Coast, I've seen big buildings. Cascada, I love their library there, it's too small for us, but still a little town of 8,000 to build one. Now it's 35,000 out of the building. So selling the need for a new library in hard times, I think that would be the only issue.
This all dovetails into this, of course. You're aware we are looking for the new permanent home.
Yes.
And please explain your experience and interest in working to pass a bond in support of this project, and what experience do you have with fundraising?
Well, for the last 5 years, I've been the president of the Clackamas Repertory Theater, which started with nothing, and we now have a budget surplus of about $18,000, which for a professional theater, which pays not only its actors, but also the musicians and the set builders and everything else. A lot of it goes to salaries and royalties, so we still have money left over at the end of the year. I think that's a pretty good deal. I'm out there kind of pounding the pavement, looking for people that can give some money. We haven't found any huge donors yet, but we have a few, and it's growing. Our last season was most successful. Sold out for Fiddler on the Roof, sold out for Ladies Man, and pretty good for Kepler's out of that one. But Shakespeare's not everybody's thing. But we're doing great, and so I have that experience. I've been on the other side as far as publicizing these for newspapers all the time. So that's great fun. So I've always been on taking the flat ad pictures and all those things you don't want to see in a newspaper, but that need to be. And I know how important it is to not just get the big donors, but to get a broad cross section of people voting with their dollars for what they want. I think that's the magic it out. Somehow that's what I would do, is have the people say, this is what we want, here's the money we want. When I was in economic development in the state of Nebraska, these little small communities, and they needed a new school, and our chief economic developers would say, well, money is never the issue. It is attitude. If they want a school, the money will come. Well, that was true. People want something, they'll come up with it. So I don't have any formula for that yet, but we can certainly work on it together.
Brian?
Have you had experience and/or are you willing to represent the library board at public meetings, including speaking before the city commission on library issues?
Yes.
So what do you think our library could be doing to build support in the community right now? Like you mentioned, the Carnegie.
I think we need to have a good series. It's just been a good series, a good system of neighborhood associations, which has just been revitalized. And I'm going to be the treasurer of the Barclay Hills Neighborhood Association, which it's 30, 40 people every time for their meetings. We talk about stuff. Oh, we've got to hit that circuit. We've got to talk to those people. We have to have something fun. Bring the dogs in and read to them about the mass, or something that gets the publicity out there that tells them, folks, we don't have room at the Carnegie, so we have to go to the parking lot to read to our kids. You know what I mean? We need a new library. A new library. Library is what we need, and we just need to get that message out there and just repeat it. Try some stuff. Be creative, I guess. I haven't heard much about, other than Eastham. That was a nice bit of publicity going along with that. We were wondering what was going to happen. But up until that time, until Danielson's pulled the plug on us, hadn't heard much. Anybody? City council, library board, librarians. So everybody was kind of happy with the status quo, I guess. So
Not happy.
Not happy.
well, they had the status quo, and anyhow, so we need to do something quick.
The library board usually meets the second Wednesday from 4:30 to 6:30. Are you available then?
I'm retired. I walk my dogs at that time, but I'm here though.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I was thinking back to the fun things that I've done at libraries, and it's really great.
I should let you know this is being taped.
The best thing I've ever done for a library was when they had a celebration at the downtown main library in Omaha, Nebraska, and they needed something for their reading program. And they said this is going to be a guerrilla reading program. You could be a guerrilla. They told me yes. So the librarians taught Norma and I into dressing in these great big gorilla suits and book reading. It was fun. I'd do it again. I'd do anything to get up in the library.
Don't give her any theme ideas.
Doug, any questions? No? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you all.
Have a great day.
Yeah, we have seen you before.
By the way, Don, did we get a show for February?
Yes.
Can you let me know later what it is? Okay. Okay. Okay, and promotion will start when?
Well, the letters will be going out.
That's what the mailing was? Okay.
The next season, I can't say what it is, but it locks us.
That you better email me.
You really have done a great job with that theater. I'm very impressed. It's one of the best things going on in the community, I think.
Professional theater, close to home.
It's really, really good.
There you go. That's not a bad idea. Send me the season.
Well, I agree that he is out there.
Yeah.
To do that. Could it be 3 places at once? Not in this one.
We're trying to use it this year. That's right.
Good job.
It's really remarkably good. I've been going through this a long time. I'm not just terrible. This stuff has been consistent.
We can dress a lot up in various costumes to go out and start reading the kids and stuff.
I don't know about the 2 directors who heard their husband on.
Cindy and David. Yeah.
Hi there. Well, welcome to the library board interview process. Just to kind of let you know what's going on, I'm Phil Yates. I'm the chair of this body, the library board. We've got a list of 6 questions we're going to go through to ask you, and then other people will throw in questions as well. Then what's going to happen is this board will make a recommendation to the mayor-elect, sitting up there, who's going to be the mayor in January, and he's going to make the actual appointments. So that's the process. So we will start with, why don't you start? Oh, we're going to introduce ourselves. So I've told you who I am. Who are you?
Karen Mori.
Laura Ingham.
Hi, Julie. Brian Nelson.
Linda Van Haverty.
Harriet Shule.
And Harriet will ask the first question.
I will. Okay.
There's no test of names.
Why?
This is, by the way, this session is being recorded. It's not broadcast.
Why do you want to be on the library board, and what special skills or strengths would you bring to us?
Okay, well, I don't know how much you know about me, but I am an English teacher, and I've taught for about 8 years, and I've taught in a wide variety so far. I started down in Northern California, the largest high school in Northern California, 4,000 students. I started there, and I think we had about, minority population was probably up near 90%, so literacy was, and that is also including our English language learner population, so literacy from the day I started my career in education was probably my biggest focus. Just learning read, write, speak, and listen. So that was kind of where I got my initial training. So started out with that, and I've, like I said, been an English teacher, but I've done, sometimes when you're a teacher in high school, you wind up teaching a lot of other things too. So I wanted teaching mass media classes, and eventually when I came back to Oregon, because I grew up in Oregon City, graduated 95 from Oregon City High School. And so when I finally decided to come back to Oregon, I wound up working out in Hillsboro, and I wound up teaching AP classes there. So I get to see, which if you don't know, AP is a advanced placement, and it is college level, really. So you're teaching college level courses, teaching it to high school students. So I'm looking at this enormous range of readers. And I think, especially in a time, I mean, I know people keep on talking about these times, but they really are hard times. I'm looking at this range of readers, and I'm thinking about the access to education, and public library is paramount to public education. So, and it's even broader than public school, you know, because normally people in the public can't go to a high school to go look up resources and ideas. We've got a lot of people out there who need to continue their education, and they can't necessarily do it in a high school setting. And so I guess my background is that I'm seeing a lot of crossover between young adults and so people who graduate but barely, you know, we've got a lot, and also people who maybe are at the top of their game too, who still are library advocates. So I'm seeing a big crossover, and so that's why I'm interested in public library, because there are lots of committees I could be on for education, you know, on that side too. So, but I think that if I think about where can I help, it would probably be in a place where you have access for everyone, not just a limited population, which I think, you know, public schools might be, you know, 8 through 12. So I hope I answered that. I think I got a little bit more, but that's why I'm interested in doing it. And what skills do I have? Well, I have a lot of background in literacy education. And I know what it's like to have people not be able to read, especially, 15, 16, 17-year-old students. I mean, that's who I know. So, it's really an important thing. Public library. So, but I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but,
Okay.
What issues currently facing our library are most important to you?
I think accessibility. And I'm not just talking about, can I walk to the library, but I'm thinking about accessibility for anybody who has some kind of problem getting to the library or using the equipment or using the access. And I think that is probably a budget issue. And I don't really know how much effect I would necessarily have on the board as far as how much effect will I have on that. I don't know yet, but I think that public libraries would be open 24/7 if they could be. I think that'd be a wonderful thing. I'd love that, but it's not Walmart, so I don't know. But I think that would probably be the biggest issue is accessibility for all different kinds of people.
Thank you.
Krista?
So we are looking for a new permanent home for our library, and you might be familiar with our history, recent history. So please explain your experience and interest in working to pass a bond in support of this project, and what's your experience with fundraising?
Okay, well, like I said, I have a public education background, so getting a bond to pass. It's all how you word it, I think. I think that has something to do with it. I would probably be more helpful in the sort of wordsmithing creation part. I think that's probably where my strength would be. As far as fundraising, I don't really have experience in, I guess, like any kind of corporate sort of fundraising or anything like that. I haven't done anything like that before. But I do definitely know how to rally the troops, so I think that, I would be useful there. But as far as, maybe figuring out how to write that bond, and I know there are people to do that, but that's pretty much what I do all day, so I think I would be helpful in that area.
Have you had experience and/or are you willing to represent the library board at public meetings, including speaking before the city commission on library issues?
That doesn't bother me. Just like I have to a lot. Even ones like these, it's all intimidating. But no, it's not bad. I don't really have a problem with that. The only thing that I would consider as being the newest person that would maybe be a little awkward, Here, go talk about, talk about what we've been doing for the last, 15 years. That might be a little strange, but no, I don't have a problem with that.
Dave?
What do you think the library can be doing to build support in the community, and how can you assist the library director and the board in that?
I guess I need to know what's been done so far, and I don't really have an insider's perspective, so I don't know. I know through taking some classes with Lewis and Clark about community engagement and sort of the idea of building community, and I think probably what tends to be most effective is sort of starting at the grassroots level. So maybe people who are your patrons, maybe starting there and figuring out what do they like, what do they see, and then building some momentum with maybe programs that patrons might be interested in first. That is kind of generating some kind of excitement and buzz tends to work better probably than something that's more top down, like, thinking like, well, we think this is a good idea, and then maybe not testing that out first. That I can see that being problematic, and I know that from my own experiences. So, but I would like, it's hard for me to answer that since I don't really know what we've done so far. But as far as specific programs, free is good, I think, for a lot of people. So whenever, once again, back to that accessibility piece. So if it's something that is free and easy and accessible, then it will probably work.
the last question that we have, the 6 questions, is the library board generally meets monthly on the second Wednesday from 4:30 to approximately 6:30. Are you able to attend these meetings on a regular basis?
That is something that was one of my questions, because nowhere did I really see when the meetings take place. So you say when is it again?
It's on the second Wednesday.
Wednesday.
From 4:30 to 6:30.
Okay. Yeah. So hours-wise, I could do that. That is, I know that I have to take some more classes at Lewis and Clark to continue on with a couple of licenses that I'm doing. So will that conflict? I'm not sure. I don't know yet until I wind up signing up for those classes. And if I did that. If they did conflict, it wouldn't be permanently. It would probably be for about 2 months. I think it's when so there might be a conflict. Oh, the conference is probably.
Karen?
How often have you been in the library since we moved to the Carnegie, since we're near you?
Well, you know what? I started going to the library at that center first. That's where I learned to do my reading, was downstairs in a little kid area. So I'm very familiar with it. And, I went to it, of course I was out of the state for a couple of years, but I went to it when it was up on the hill, and then now it's back down again. I love that building. Everybody loves that building. That is a wonderful place. It's small, but it's nice. So I'm familiar with it, and I do understand that you probably have to reduce your collections. Yeah. So, I'm familiar with it. Was there anything else, or no? Okay.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask of us?
Yeah, my first question was, when do you meet, which now we're on Wednesdays, I think it would be so important to know what kind of fit you're looking for. What kind of person do you need to round out the group? Because everybody tends to play a role when you're in a committee. If you want somebody who is, more business oriented, that probably is not me. But I do have a lot, like I said, I have the education background, and so that I do feel confident in.
Well, just to answer that question, each one of us, I think, come to that conclusion independently as what kind of fit we have. But my personal opinion is sort of like a coach on a football team, pick the best athlete. I think it's the most qualified person overall for not any particular fit. Anything else? Any questions, Doug? No? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. So you think you'll decide?
Probably in about 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll make the recommendation.
He doesn't need to approve until January.
Oh, okay.
It's his decision. We're just recommendatory body.
Yeah, especially when you're gonna have someone for 4 years, that's exactly right. Okay, well, nice to meet you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Last time we did, he asked the question of the foundation.
Do we get to turn off the recorder now?
We can stop the meeting if you want.
Well, I don't know if we can just stop the meeting, but I'm not sure we're supposed to record these personnel things or not.
Well, it's not really personnel, we're not hiring them.
Not.
Maybe that was the point of it being recorded, though.
I think it's fine for me.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Let me go lock the door.
Let's go lock the door. Nobody walked in on us. Right.
We could have a lot of discussion on it.
Mike's in here?
I'll actually have a small. I'm going to have to put this on.
Where you do your relevant space and when you get those companies in the person that would work there, you mentioned the person that has experience. You might just think about are there areas that in terms of interviewing these people contribution that would be a good fit. There's a lot. And so, this is our decision.
Well, don't we have two candidates
Well,
for the
Claire's
city?
in.
One-
Three city went out. Claire's in, she's got something, so please.
So we have two more, so we have four candidates, three slots, right?
No, two slots. Claire's the only one from outside the city who applied, so as long as we agree she's in, then we've got to decide between the other two.
For one
For
slot.
one slot.
Right.
Alright. There's a couple.
So it's Claire, Dawn, and Julie, no, Linda,
Linda.
Dawn,
Linda,
and
Dawn, and Julie.
So what Doug is, I think, suggesting is that we discuss for a second, I don't have any problem with this, whether or not we feel we need a gap filled. Do we?
Well, I'll plunge in a little.
That's reflective, excuse me, relevant to the experiences of the people that we're looking at.
And I'll plunge in on that a little and do my coin toss here. The thing I like about Claire is she's dialed into the hamlet and is familiar with the CPOs. Don's strength, he has become very active in his neighborhood association, and he has been visiting other neighborhood associations. He's a little more proactive in the city. I'm on the CRT board with him. I will say, you give Don something, he does it. It is complete, it is thorough, and he's incredible at seeing things through to the end. I really, really, really like Linda for the foundation. She sounds very organized. She's got the budgeting and grant writing background. I think she'd be a marvelous addition to the library board, but I think she would be incredible if the foundation invited her. I lean toward Don, but I'm a little biased because he is a friend, but I've worked with him. I didn't hear a single responsive answer from Julie, so I'm not, she's out of my mental list. That was my 88 cents worth.
And nobody here knows Linda Campbell from another board or
Mhm.
not experience. Okay.
I'm going to say that,
Oh, that's right, Linda knew.
Yeah.
Linda.
Right.
Linda.
That's the only connection.
Really, to me, it's almost a coin flip, between Linda and Dawn, and they both have outstanding strengths that, as we're moving forward with this whole project, we need. And I must admit that I'm probably a little biased because I know Don and have worked with him through the Friends of the Library for a long time, and he's somebody who you have a need and you call, whether it's unloading a truck with bookcases or something, you call and there's Don. He's there to do it. Linda may have some of the library skills and the history skills and that kind of stuff to go and supplement with the writing, but if we're talking about community education and presentations and such in the community to do some of the rabble rousing or whatever you want to call it, I think Dawn's stronger in that area. So either one would be a fantastic addition to the board, and it's one of the things is you talk about what do we feel we need the most now.
I know that was Dawn.
You know, you've got a personality that's out there, engaging.
I think the communication piece is because our need now is that having a physical home, but also communicating out that process and the reasons why. And if we had somebody on the board who has a clear background as well as the community connections to help convey that message, that's the need that I see. That we all have our pieces of it, but to have someone help sort of, make it more cohesive, that is a plus in my opinion.
And also, if you've ever done improv where like they hand you an orange and you have to generate excitement about an orange, Don can do that.
Well, and that's just the thing. I mean, obviously, he's just got an electric personality. The thing is, bringing that to a library is like fantastic because people don't think of libraries in those terms, and it's like, come on, let's put some energy behind it. That man would.
Oh, yeah.
And he's already a community leader, which is
You know, and he had great ideas about what to do, go to the neighborhood association, things like that. I love that.
that was the only good answer.
But I mean, I would go with somebody like that and feel very comfortable about it. You know, that would be a great way to team up, you know, something like that.
Are there any reservations regarding Don?
Nope.
Well, I thought both, I think Linda and Don would be excellent additions.
Can we expand the board?
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. You
Change the
can't change
definition.
it too. She's obviously got a lot going on.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess for me, I do think we need somebody with some budgetary experience. I think that's one of the areas that, we're lacking. The fact that Don has some experience with economic development, with the repertory theater, and going out asking for money, putting together a budget, understanding the restraints. I think that we need additional members with maybe some, if that aspect is in, maybe this isn't realistic, maybe it is, in addition to that electric personality. But I think either would be an excellent addition. I liked the very last one, Julie, with her passion. Julie had a lot of passion for literacy, for teaching. I just don't know if she makes a great addition to the board in terms of what we need, in terms of reaching out to the community. I love the passion that having folks that are retired in the community who have the time to really go out there and connect with people, I think would be very important.
So, Mr. Chair.
Well, I'm hearing sort of a consensus that our one county representative we can all support, and that Don seems to be the best of the other three. Does anybody disagree with that?
And it was very nice of Linda to get a full resume with contact information
Is
for
there-
foundation members.
Is there any way for foundation members to extend invitations to both of them?
It seems to me if we've got people who are volunteering their time, we ought to be able to take advantage of that somehow and actually give some sort of, I don't know if you could help with this or not, but to give some sort of community recognition for addition, something other than this board, because people like that, you know.
So I would suggest that when we reject somebody, if we reject them, that we reject them with an invitation to get involved in our fundraising for the library.
We're not really rejecting them.
No.
That's the problem, is it will appear to them that we are rejecting them. In reality, we're just picking the person that is
Well, it's actually the mayor who's going to do the rejecting, but it's yeah, I think you got it.
But at least the one, the rejection could be couched as, with your skill set, the foundation will kill for you to be on their board.
Well, I offered because of the literacy, Julie had a lot of interest in really being in that literacy and accessibility piece, and I feel around that, and that, maybe that Sue can say, any of the populations we're running and stuff, that's really.
Hillsborough.
But you do it the same way.
The teachers are just glad they have jobs.
And then she went out. It's a nasty commute. So do we need an actual formal motion and vote? Somebody want to make a motion?
I think we probably do, and I move that we accept Larry Kellogg.
We need to make I think we need to make a recommendation.
Okay. I move that we make a recommendation to the mayor to accept Larry Kellogg as our candidate for the outside the city position which we're looking for. Yeah. And that in addition we would move that we recommend Don Wright as our recommendation.
All in favor? Any discussion?
did.
All in favor?
Outside of any likelihood of a scandal with community renewal between now and the side of the requirements,
Is that about you or the camera?
What is what would be good to know for those of us who are trying to set up the foundation board would be what is your timing, because it would be very inappropriate to contact Linda before she knows whether she has been appointed or not. And so as soon as we know that you've done the letter and recommended, you could even put a thing about you might want to consider the foundation and then tell one of us and we'll call her immediately.
And as long as they've got you here, do you think it might be fruitful to have 10 or 15 minutes discussion about, if you have the time and the interest, to talk about the library building and where it makes, and what the one issue that's dear to my mind is what the process is going to be to make the decision. And I don't know what anybody else needs to talk about, but I'd love you to pontificate on that issue, if nothing else.
Oh, I won't pontificate. There's been different suggestions of sites coming out. One, I think there's been either a study, maybe a study session from GSU or something, was to look at the Museum of the Oregon Territory, which is
Kathy.
Which is not for sale.
Well, no, I mean, the question is, are sites available? The one thing that the person that actually worked on their event center there, worked at the documents, and the county permitted that property to be used. Apparently, it stated, I don't know if Jim was to do that, stated that the only two things it could be used for was for a museum or a library. So that, and he made it known.
Can you find that document?
The other thing is that.
You don't want that building,
I know that. We're talking about. All I'm doing is talking about sites that have gone out there. There's somebody who's going to be pushing, in the community, probably pushing to have an expansion at the Carnegie Center.
Right.
I have, today, I talked to Ann Langer, who is one of the county commissioners. We had a coffee discussion. Talked to them about the possibility of owning the land there at the Red Soils complex. Just my own personal bias is that if you're talking about this neck of the woods in Oregon City, you're not in the center of the district here. And it was one thing that was nice about the Danielson's property was, it was at the juncture of Malala and Beaver Creek and access from Highway 213. I think there was a benefit of that. We could find some place on the site. The Red Soils area would be, that possibility would be really nice. Anyway, it would be nice to find free land. County does that.
How big is the piece that Scott bought on Beaver Creek for Future Park?
About the high school?
Between the high school and the college.
Between the high school and the
I
college.
believe I asked Scott that once and he said that it was, whatever it was called, the state park.
Yeah, it was
Metro. The state park.
Yeah, Metro paid for that.
Okay, so it has to be part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
you can
dedicated
look
funds.
at it. I don't know, but I would be surprised that they're pretty lenient for us using it for some recreational purposes as park system. So I doubt we'd be able to.
We could put a stationary bike in the library. It seems like that is a good place to piece though.
Well, I mean, there might be something you could explore that. I mean, the means of that.
For what it's worth, I think most of the people on this board agree with you about the location. I don't know if everybody does, but I agree. I have a question that's sort of broader than just the city, and that's, half of our services district is outside the city, and most of our money probably is outside the city in terms of getting funding for a new library other than city bond. And one of the things that I've been struggling with, sort of financially, is how you convince people. How do we tap
the resources outside the city. Is there any way we can do that? In your mind, is it something is it something that is intriguing to you and the city commission to work with the county to figure out some way to get the residents of our district to contribute to the construction of the library as opposed to just the operating budget? Is there any way that you see?
They want us to avoid going out for a bond, though. They would really, that's what I picked up at the last meeting, is that the city commission would like us to avoid going out for bonds so that the bond focus could be.
I don't know that all commissioners would agree with that.
You can't go outside the city for a bond.
That's right, it's from the city, that is.
Not without action from the county.
But I know you're talking about bonds specifically.
I'm not. I'm just talking about, it seems to me if we're going to be building a library at high expense and the city residents are going to be paying 100% of that we could do a better deal for the city by getting the people outside the city to also contribute in some way. And the only way we're going to do that, it seems to me, is with the cooperation of the county commissioner. And the only way they'll do it, it seems to me, is if the city commission really gets behind something like that. My two cents.
I mean, the county commissioner can't just decide they're going to tax the city of Beaver Creek to build a library.
Well, when Estacada formed their own district, the first thing after the district passed was that the county, in effect, paid it off because there is some problem with having now a library funding district for a bond inside the district, the countywide district for the library. I don't know if there's a way around it or anything, but I mean, that's been the message that we've been given. So
anyway, it's just my 2 cents. I've been harping on it for about a year. Just wanted to share it with you.
I think my concern about going bond at this time is the likelihood of any bond passed under these economic conditions. Well, there may be individual issues that have a preference over when we put out a bond for building a police station or building a library, but we won't have one.
How do we build a library without a bond? Where's the money?
Well,
no.
The way that we're thinking, one thought we have right now is that we discovered that we could borrow against the borrow $7 million, and that's all districts, so that's everybody's money.
Which is good. That's all it's
right, right? Yeah. And then we have the $1 million from the county. That's $8 million. So what I'm understanding from building people is that would build a 20,000 square foot, really nice building, and some of that even would include some money for land. That's not big enough. But you know, I've always thought that the 43,000 was like too big. I mean, it's really too big for us to staff as well. If we could figure out a way to get to like raise enough money with grants and fundraising to get somewhere around 10 or something, or get in-kind contributions from the county or something that would get us up there. You know, I think we could go ahead.
And if you were to build a 20,000 square foot library, would you want to keep the Carnegie in the library system?
Well, you know,
staffing is a problem.
Staffing is a huge problem, of course, that's where we expense.
What are you talking about? Because I heard a couple of different in the square footage. We were in 14,000 in Danielson's, and that was actually too small. That was really cozy. You figure what, 20 or 25 would be the minimum?
I'm saying what we could afford just on borrowing and the county money that we know is coming in. That's no fundraising, that's nothing else. We know we could build a 20,000 square foot building. Brand new, modern 20,000 square foot building. I don't think any of us think that's big enough. I would really like to go for 30. You know, I think 30 is something that a lot of people could argue that would be sufficient with the technology that we're looking at and stuff like that. And you know, I'm trying to get that standard of technology. There's plenty of room for meeting space and this and that, but you know, 30,000 square feet of a nice brand new library. It's got that downstairs, you know.
Wilsonville's the only one that is up close to 30, isn't it?
I don't have those stats with me.
Mo, was
And
it?
if 8 million builds you 20,000 square feet, it's not, if 8 million would build you 20,000 square feet, it's not gonna cost you 4 million to build another 10, because a lot of that is physical plants and.
Right, so I think like if we could get to 10,
But you're saying we're only a little bit for land.
yeah, and like if we could get free land, then we could do it. You know, like if we could get, if the county would give us some land at Red Soils, and we could build a building.
Not as long as Lynn's on the commission.
But we have some other friends for her house.
Someday.
You know,
3 more years.
We can't afford to pay $3 million for land, that's what it comes down to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kids Harbor.
She could get
I
it.
haven't heard it's public, but Kids Harbor will be first.
Crazy. The other was that David was making the point that you would design the building so that it could be added onto, so you could have the design right away.
Yeah.
You're gonna need it. The problem with it is that you design around the $30 from the start of the home, and we will not be able to stand the size where we'll be able to meet our requirements under the state.
But the requirements might change.
Well, you can't come, it's just like the business with the police department. They're planning on the basis of what the laws are right now, and that's why they're looking for a new station. If you weren't, you got till 2020 to get into the building. Well, the laws will be changed in the meantime, well, then don't worry about it at all.
Well, I think we'll know that before we start building them. I mean, that will be reviewed before that.
It's also an artificial number, and what size building can you do the best job in?
I mean,
35,000 square feet between them.
Yeah, if we're gonna have meeting
Right,
rooms.
so 20,000 with room to add on, but keep in mind the Carnegie was designed to be added on to. Yeah.
But not just park a lot of cars around.
Their firm uses design, I think you mentioned.
The original design required.
Adjacent to the part of the Carnegie units that is part of the original design. That's why there's that side door.
So 100 years later. If it was designed to be added to.
anyway, I mean,
Well, thank you. That was a very enlightening additional discussion.
As we talked about 3 years ago, we were discussing that 3 years ago, the Red Soils and the land given for West Japan, it makes a lot of these projects feasible.
And they almost had it given to us, so let's say no.
Yeah, because Linda's topic.
Well, before we go, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Krista, for being on our board for how many years, Dave? 4? And you've been, what, 2, 3? 3? Oh, no, thank you very much. And it's a new-
Very nice to be here. I served on the library for 4 years, until 14 years ago. And the reason we created the county positions is we were trying to get a capital improvement district for the building the library, which would, of course, include the outside areas, so we actually created those six county positions, and 5 that we got.
well, didn't
It did turn out
Yeah.
very, very well.
Okay, so our next meeting is in January?
January 12th. Wednesday, January 12th.
Okay.
When is your first official commission meeting?
January 5th is the first time in